Saturday at the Goa Museum of Art and Gardens, and actually showed up completely unannounced with his wife Molly and his children as part of one of our Weaver Free Saturday events, and just decided to come there, not in an official capacity, but as a father and a husband and somebody who is passionate about the role that our museums can play in the building of a community. And so it is really my great pleasure to invite to the stage our mayor, Lenny Curry.
That was a really kind introduction. I wish I was greeted like that when I get home. Well, to the Southeastern Museum Conference, welcome to Jacksonville. I'm grateful that you're here. I'll tell you, arts, culture, all that you do, I think, is so important. It was mentioned that Saturday after the arts and culture really opened my eyes to possible in my own life. I wouldn't be here today as Mayor of Jacksonville. I really had I not had everything that I can to expose my children to all that's out there, because here's what I believe. You take Einstein as an example. Certainly he was a brilliant genius, but he was able to imagine what was possible versus just take a technical skill set and work with it. So I think that if we're going to continue, if we're going to have the next big idea in the years ahead, the idea that builds upon each idea, it's going to be because of arts and culture. So again, welcome today. I want to thank all the supporting museums for the conference, the Goa Museum of Art, the Museum of Science and History, the Museum of Contemporary Art, the Jacksonville Zoo and Gardens, the Ritz Theater and Museum, the Carpel's Manuscript Library, the Federal History, and there's a quote that says, all museums are places where time is transferred into space. Ever remain with them. So again, I want to thank you all for being here. I hope you enjoy your time. I hope you enjoy all that Jacksonville has to offer. Here's to music. Thank you.
We also have another special guest that we want to recognize and invite to the podium for a couple of words, and that is our marvelous Senator Audrey Gibson, who we are so thrilled is with us today. Thank you so much for all you do in supporting arts and culture in this community and throughout the state. So if you can, come on up and say hi. Yes, I can. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, you know, in AME church, we have something called call and response. So I say good morning and you respond back, right? And this is an absolutely great morning. Isn't the weather turning great?
Yes.
Ooh, I let my windows down. I turn my music up loud. It is my pleasure to be Jacoby Pittman, who is extremely active in this community. And so welcome to all the beautiful city of Jacksonville, and I have the pleasure, actually Daytona Beach, but forward from my time when I was elected in 2002, I've always sat money in the pot for them, and that they now, I had a meeting just last week in Tallahassee, the folks from Cultural Affairs
awesome David Butler, who's a great fellow Tennessean. Case is a Nashville auction and appraisal firm. Technology. Our average live cataloged auction draws 2,000 registered bidders from more than 50 countries, bidding in person, by phone, on their laptops, on their phones, online, on their iPads. And that's partly where museum comes in. You are educating our customers. You're helping them develop their tastes and develop their eyes. We find that you're great partners with us in all that we do, and you continue actually to educate us. So thank you so much for your commitment to scholarship and to excellence, for helping us over the years with our cataloging and our research. Thank you for buying from us. Thank you for de-accessioning through us. And thank you for continued inspiration in letting our past inform our present and our future. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah, and thanks to Case Antiques and our other sponsors. Well, we pulled that off pretty well. We're slicker than I thought. I'm really honored today to introduce Nick Gray, which will be very brief because Nick is much better qualified to tell you about himself and Museum Hat. Let me just say that Nick describes himself as a renegade museum tour guide, and you just gotta love anybody with that label. He's the founder of Museum Hat, which is a company whose mission is to get people excited about great museums throughout the world. As I understand Museum Hat, it's a company that takes people who don't care much for museums and makes them into people who love museums. So I can't think of anybody we'd rather have to speak to us today. He has lots to teach us, and I think I'll let him do that. I will finish though just by saying that their tagline at the bottom of every email says, "In museums we trust," and I really like that. I really like that phrase. Nick, thank you for coming down from New York today, and we're looking forward to hearing from you. Thanks.
Set up my laptop here for a second. I consider myself to be a Southerner. I've lived in New York for 7 years now, but I went to elementary school in Georgia, and I went to high school in Georgia, and then I went to college in North Carolina. And all of that is basically a way of saying that when I go to Waffle House, I know exactly how I like my hash browns, scattered, smothered, and chunked. The slide's going to be blank. It's supposed to be blank. Yeah, it's good. It's good. I got everything online. I didn't used to like museums. I thought that they were boring. I didn't connect with the paintings. I wasn't sure what I was supposed to do inside the space. You always had to be quiet, and usually my feet hurt. All of that changed about 4 years ago when I had a very magical experience. In New York City, a woman brought me to the Metropolitan Museum of Art on a romantic date. This is the Metropolitan Museum of Art. I'm sure you've all heard about it. A lot of you have probably been there. This is the most popular museum in New York City. It's actually the most popular museum in all of North America. It gets more than 6 million visitors per year. It takes up about 13 acres of Central Park. In square footage, it's like 49 football fields. So it's ginormous. And that big sense of intimidation is why, to me and my friends, this place was just a tourist attraction. Right? Like, this was the type of place that you went when your parents were in town. It's not a place that I had a relationship to. I'd been there once before, but when she invited me to go, I said, okay, let's go. It was a Saturday night in the middle of December. The Mets opened late on Friday and Saturday nights. And we went, and it was snowy outside that night. It looked something like this. And as we walked around the museum, she began to give me a tour, showing me things that she liked, that she was excited about. I saw paintings, I saw sculpture, Egyptian artifacts, and furniture. And something special happened. I don't know if it was the very nice mood lighting at the museum, or whether it was the snow coming down outside in Central Park, or maybe it was just having a very attractive woman talk to me. But that night, I fell in love with the museum. Her tour that she did unlocked within me a sense of curiosity about history that I never knew that I had. And I became obsessed with this museum. I started going there every single weekend. During the daytime, I sold electronic equipment used in small planes. I come from a marketing and a business background. So we made that map that shows you like where the plane is flying across the country. That's what our company did. I did that during the week and I loved it, but on the weekends, this became my hobby and I was obsessed with it. I did the audio tours, I took docent tours, I looked things up on Wikipedia. I loved this museum so much that I kind of just started inviting my friends and doing Renegade Tours. These are some photos of me doing those tours for my friends. Now, I was a business major in school. I've never taken an art history class. These were not sophisticated museum tours. They were basically like 10 cool things I found and 3 things I want to steal. I would bring my friends to an object like this. This is a Goa Stone Case that was made in the early 1700s, meant to house a Goa stone. It was a ball about the size of a billiard ball that they believed on the west coast of India had magical, mystical properties. The ball that would have been housed inside of this case, they thought that you could drop it into a well and it would cure the plague for 100 miles around. They thought that you could take a Goa stone and shave off a piece of it, put it in a cup of tea, and it would cure any type of poison. It would have been worth way more than its weight in gold, way more than this solid gold case. On my tours, my friends and I would rush up to the glass and we would press our faces right up to it. And we would look at the craftsmanship, and I would ask my friends, I would say, think about it. What would you put inside of this if you stole it? Using levels of Their answers, by the way, were usually chocolate or drugs. So those were my tours. I started doing them every single weekend for fun, for free for my friends, small groups of people. My friends would, they would tell their friends, and they would share photos on Facebook. Here's one of the photos of people. It became like kind of a viral sensation, and then one day a blog wrote about these tours I was giving, and the next day 1,000 people emailed me wanting to join the tour. It was actually like 1,400. It was a ton. And I knew that it was becoming more than me. I had to recruit my friends to come and help me out, to share this passion that I had. It was becoming a very full-time hobby. And I'm happy to say that about 2.5 years ago, I quit my job and have been focused every day since then on building a business to reimagine the adult museum experience. The name of my business is Museum Hack, and I'm interested in those people who are not coming to museums. People that were like me, who think that museums are not for me. And I see it as our job to shift their perception, to bring them to the museum for a fun experience, and then get them to be willing to come back. Those 2.5 years have been a lot of work, and today it's more than just me. I'm happy to say we have 24 employees. We've got 9 full-time people in New York, a lot of part-time employees and contractors. This year, we're going to do about $1 million in sales. Thank you very much. More than about 200,000 of that goes directly to our museum partners. Of all the sales that we do, a percentage of it goes to the museum for the adult museum fee. And I don't say that to brag, I say it because you may be sitting here thinking, how does this apply to my small historical museum? You may be thinking, we don't have the money, we don't have the millennials, we don't have the tech, we don't have the tourists that New York does. The story that I'm going to tell you comes from no background and no permission and no startup funding. Right? I didn't get venture capital to make this. It was just looking for new ideas. So hopefully, by the end of my speech, you will have some new ideas about ways that perhaps you can engage with some new types of audiences in your town. There's 3 things that I think we do differently than most museum tours. And I'm going to tell you those 3 things, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit about how our business works, and then I'll wrap it up by saying why does this matter? Why am I obsessed with museums? First, the 3 things that we do different than most museum tours, I think it's easy to boil it down. It's guides, games, and gossip. Guides I'm going to start with because this is the heart and soul of our business. Our tour guides are the reason that our visitors love Museum Hack and tell all of their friends. We hire for storytelling ability. See, we think that storytelling is more important than art history. And that's a little controversial, but here's why. We hire for that because I can teach you the art history. I can teach you about the art and I can teach you about the museum, but I can't teach you how to connect with an audience that, to be honest, sometimes doesn't even want to be there. And so we have to hire first and foremost for those people, and so we don't do job interviews, we do job auditions, right? We don't read resumes, we bring people in and we say, let's go into the gallery, 10 people at a time. We're going to give you 10 minutes to use your smartphone, research a piece, and then tell us about it right now on the spot. And that's how we hire our guides. We'll post for a new hire. We're hiring for one person, we'll have 150 people apply. And so we do those through those live job auditions. And we hire people from all walks of life. We hire actors and musicians, like this woman. Her name is Leah. She loves this aquamanile. We hire people like this guy. His name is Ethan. He is an educator. He loves this painting. What I want to express is that we bring people to talk to our museum visitors from all walks of life, whether they're scientists or musicians or artists or theater professionals, and we let them design their own tours. There's no custom route on any museum hack tour. Each one is different. The guide gets to write it because they have to speak from passion. And we think that our visitors can pick up on that very quickly. If somebody's talking about something that they're excited about, then you can feel that, and that's contagious in a museum. And so all of our guides write their own tours, their own scripts, and they move very fast. They have a lot of things that they like to show, and so they have to incorporate some games. All our tours tend to move very fast. Usually they're 2 to 3 times as fast as a typical museum tour. Most museum tours, maybe you see 5 to 6 pieces an hour. On a museum hack tour, you'll see 10, 15, sometimes 20 objects. They move so fast that all the tours begin with a huddle. We actually ask the visitors, we say, listen, there's so many things I have to show you on the tour today. Everybody circle up and put your hands in the middle. We say, we're going to move fast today and we're going to operate as a team, and so we're going to start with a little cheer to begin. And so we say, we're going to go down on mu, up on zeum. And I'm not joking. This is how every single museum hack tour begins. They go, museum. And then they begin the tour. See, we're not selling a museum tour. We're providing our customers a museum adventure. Right? We're going after this ADD generation that's like me, is on our phones every 2 minutes, and we have to compete with that. Have you ever brought friends to your museum, and after the first 15 or 20 minutes, instead of seeing them like inspired and engaged, as the time goes on, they start to like maybe slip in a yawn that they hide from you, or they feel a little bit tired? That's a real thing that you know about. It's called gallery fatigue. And during our tours, we've developed a lot of activities that we call fatigue fighting exercises to combat that. We'll do yoga in the contemporary wing. Right? We'll do shots of espresso halfway through. We'll pass out candy in the elevators. We'll do squats in the stairwells. We'll do anything we need to keep it engaged and fast-paced, because that's what a successful museum adventure is for our visitors. We love to take pictures on our tours. We encourage people to take selfies. The reason we love to take photos, by the way, is, let's be honest, you look awesome in a People share those photos like 20 to 1, and that's been a huge thing of success for us. My favorite thing that we do, though, on the tours is the gossip. And when I say gossip, what I mean is the juicy facts and the backstories behind the art. Because we have a lot of different types of visitors who come on a museum hack tour, but probably my favorite demographic is a group that we lovingly refer to as finance bros. These are people who are first in their category of income and earnings. They are first in intelligence, but oftentimes the last place that they want to be on a Friday or Saturday night is at the museum. They get dragged to us on a date or on a corporate event. And so we customize the tours. When they come into the museum, we identify them. We say, welcome to the museum. Tonight we're going to start the tour a little bit different. We say, tonight we're going to start the tour at the most expensive piece of art that the museum has ever paid cash money for. And so we take them up the stairs into this tiny room on the second floor that has this tiny little Duccio. It was painted about in the year 1300 by Duccio, who was a pre-Renaissance master. You probably, or you may know, there's only 12 or 13 other surviving Duccios in the whole world. When the Met found out that one was coming available on the market, they said they had to have it. The year was 2004, and they paid over $45 million. That's more than $1 million per square inch. We take our visitors to this piece and we talk about what it means to be a pre-Renaissance master. What does Byzantine mean? What does the color of Mary's cloak mean? We have them look at the interaction between Mary and Jesus, how baby Jesus is brushing her veil aside, and Mary is looking down at Jesus with his peanut-shaped head. Duccio knew how to paint people, but he's giving Christ this man-child persona to signify the life that he was to become. We know that we're successful in talking about this object when at the end of it they say, "That was interesting. What else do you have here that's expensive?" You know, we're not afraid to talk about how much these objects cost, because that's what these visitors want to hear, and that's what it takes to engage them at the beginning. We don't shy away from controversy. Our marketing slogan, the tag on all of our business cards is, "Museums are freaking awesome." Guides, games, and gossip. I'm going to talk a little bit about the logistics of running our company and how some things work. We are a private business that goes after premium customers. I recognize that we're a private business in the public space, and we're trying to build a business model that first can sustain itself with premium customers. I would love to have accessibility for all types of the population, but for now, for me to pay my staff with no grant funding, we go after a premium market segment. That's how we're going to prove the model of what we're doing. We only sell our tickets online. We're not at the museum with a sign, paid tours. Our customers book with us weeks and months in advance. They would never be going to the museum if it wasn't for this tour. We do about 20 to 35 tours a week, and people pay us between $49 and $199 per person. Those high-end tours are ones that we do for our corporate customers. We've built a very successful corporate relationship. If your museum is thinking, how can I engage with businesses in my towns, I really encourage you to look at team-building opportunities. We do a lot of tours for Google, where they send us new engineers who want to talk about technology through time. And so we take our regular tour and just highlight it with a couple select objects that address their company mission and vision, and they're happy to pay a premium for those types of experiences. We have 24 employees now. We've been hired, I'm very blessed to be hired by museums all around the world that bring us in to do workshops and training with their docents and their volunteers about how to engage millennials. What type of things can be customized for that type of audience? We've worked on young patrons programs for museum, and we've started to do Facebook ads, helping museums leverage a $3,000 ad spend that they would have done in a newspaper or a magazine. How do we take that to Facebook and leverage it to get 20 times the results, specific results of how many people does it drive in the door? We're now in New York City, Washington, D.C., and San Francisco, and we have built a sustainable model, but I can say that we're barely profitable. Because you have to be a little bit crazy to start a business in the museum space to try to get rich, right? That's not why we do this. We're trying to prove a model. And you have to think, why museums? Why do we choose to do this? And to talk about that, I have to talk about my favorite piece of art in the entire world. I've seen it probably 300 times now, and every time I see it, I get excited. It's called Fragment of a Queen's Face. And it might look like a modern or contemporary piece of art, but this is an Egyptian artifact that's over 3,000 years old. And it's made out of a special material that's called yellow jasper. Yellow jasper, two things to know about it. Number one, at the time this piece was made, yellow jasper was incredibly rare. It was so rare that the next largest piece of yellow jasper in the whole museum is no bigger than your thumbnail. Number two is yellow jasper is incredibly hard to work with. On the hardness scale of 1 to 10, where diamond is a 10, marble is a 3, yellow jasper is a solid 7. It makes marble look like a stick of butter. And so to get that definition and precision on the lips, this is not a glaze, this is stonework, is basically impossible. I was talking to a curator about this, and I said, I love this piece. And he said, you know what's amazing is that we have, not only do we not know exactly who it is, there's a lot of mystery. It could be Nefertiti, it could be one of 4 people. But he said, we don't even know how it was made. Not even do we not know how it was made, there are no surviving examples of tools that could have been used to get that definition. And this woman was listening to us talk, and she stuck in her head and she goes, I bet it was the aliens. She did not work at the museum. There's a lot of mystery about this piece, and I just think if the lips looked like this, could you imagine what the rest of it looked like? She may have been presented to the pharaoh wearing a Nubian wig and a dress entirely out of feathers. Her hands and feet would have been yellow jasper. I get butterflies thinking about it, and I think that that's what a great piece of art is. 3,000 years ago, I couldn't talk to an Egyptian. I don't know the language, I can't read hieroglyphics, but today I can see this and I can feel something. And I think that that's what a great piece of art is. A great piece of art can communicate through time. The greatest compliment that I've ever got from somebody who came on a tour, it was a music video director from Los Angeles. He said, I would have never been at this museum. I've been here for 2 hours now and I've seen all these things. He said, I've seen these objects that are 100, that are 500, that are 1,000 years old. He said, I've seen these things that are 100, that are 500, that are 1,000 years old, that have withstood the test of time, and then I look at my own work and what I'm doing. And I wonder if that will stand the test of time. And he said, coming to this museum has made me want to be a better creator. That's why we do what we do. My name is Nick Gray. The name of my company is Museum Hack. We think that museums are freaking awesome. budget, an email. I love to share the advice for you. You don't have to be shy about that. So if you have any questions, I'd love to hear them, and we have about 4 or 5 minutes.
The museum. I mean, how did the musty old curators?
Yeah. Started out when I did my friends, where the group services office to register when you have groups. I'll have a group of 9 next week. We now go through the group office, and we're legit at the museum. We know all the rules. That we don't break rules, we break, and that could mean, you know, doing a shot of espresso midway through the tour. And so we book through these museums that we do regular tours at through their group services office and pay the full adult fare and send them all our reservations. The curators, by the way, love us because they tell us these great stories, and we explain those stories with passion, and then they see the visitors come back and tell their friends those stories. And at first, the first time we meet with them, they kind of like have their arms crossed, but when they see that we're genuinely excited about this, those stories, I mean, stories are meant to be shared, right? Awesome. Next question? Yes, sir.
You mentioned some percentage of your money or revenue goes back to the museum. How does that work?
So all of our tours that we do on a regular basis, we pay the full. We have basically 3 sectors of our leads. We may charge $59 for that. At the Metropolitan Museum of Art, $22 of that. We're paying them on average about $15,000 a month. Yep. The museum charges $25. Crank up the value. We say we're going to charge $59. Premium experience on top of the typical museum visit. That's the layer that I'm interested in, and that's the layer that I really encourage more museums to think about, that there's a lot of people out there willing to pay for premium museum experiences. It could be a behind-the-scenes tour. It could be a young professionals program. It could be a guided tour from a curator. There's a lot of people out there who want to pay for that special type of access, and it can be a massive new source of revenue for your museum. Yes?
What museum or collection has surprised you the most personally? That you might have had one conception going in, and then that was reimagined when you came out?
No joke, last night blew my mind. Not kidding. If you follow me on Snapchat, I love Snapchat. I was taking pictures nonstop. The 3 museums that we went to, I guess that it was my fault for going in with lowered expectations, but I was writing Foursquare tips, I was taking pictures, I was like, you have got to come here. This place is amazing. Yes.
You said that you've worked with courses.
Doing docent training. It's so Museum Hack is doing to reach a whole new. Yes. So are you asking this question because you're like, that sounds like a lot once they've done it a lot. And so when we work with these small business partners and that pay those premiums, once you build that tour, it runs very well. Yeah.
You do walk.
That might not to be involved and to take part and feel like it's okay to talk about things. One of our favorite games want it, but sort of secretly, and you don't just need it, so you're going to steal it.
Museum, or you try to stay focused on like museums that you do regularly? If they want to do this, or can a person call you and say, I want
tours and experiences. We go after the ones that we do as an investment, like we did in San Francisco, where we built up a staff out there. We said, look, there's enough traffic and startups out here that we're going to build that up. But then we've had a museum, for example, in the Midwest that says, look, we want to do style tours, and we say, well, it's not big enough right now to investment for us, but we'll just come out and on how you can run them within your museum. But usually we suggest that they hire from outside staffer, and the other sometimes comes from like the theater community, and it helps spice things up. Did that answer your question?